Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
There's been a dramatic drop in business confidence since the election result. That's according to the Institute of Directors. A survey of 700 members suggested there was deep concern over the political uncertainty and its impact on the economy. So, for more on the view from business, here's our business editor, Simon Jack.
Coming up fast. Brexit negotiations are due to start next Monday, but after the election result, the direction of travel is more uncertain than ever, and businesses like Aston Martin are worried.
It's almost the worst of all worlds, because you now have a hung parliament where nothing can be taken as a given. Let's understand the direction of travel. Let's work between government and industry. Let us understand where we're going to, and we can adapt to the situation, and that will allow us then to continue the investments that we're already planning.
On Friday, in the immediate aftermath of the election, business groups gathered here at the Department for Business with a regular meeting with the Secretary of State. Now the problem is, many of them feel that up to now their voice goes no further than this building, and are hoping that a weakened Theresa May will have to listen more to her cabinet colleagues and to the voice of business, particularly when it comes to Brexit.
Up to now, I don't think business has managed to get its views across effectively enough, or it simply hasn't been listened to. And that's particularly true of smaller businesses. Now I think we've got a bit of a window, and that might change, and that might enable there to be a bit of a rethink about some of these questions about the single market, the customs union, how the regulatory frameworks are going to work.
While many, in fact most businesses, would like to retain preferential access to our largest export market, John Elliott, who runs this electrical goods manufacturer in County Durham, says we must not lose sight of why people like him voted to leave.
I hope common sense prevails. My view of the Brexit is that we've got to leave and become the same as the other people who aren't in the European Union, countries like USA, Canada, Australia, Japan, and we tread like them and give up our free access to the single market, but get back control of our economy and immigration.
Even ignoring the election result, there's evidence that the prospect of Brexit is affecting an industry that relies heavily on overseas workers: health. There's been a 96% fall in the number of EU nationals registering to work as a nurse in the UK.
Business-friendly government.
The Institute of Directors polled its members over the weekend, and last week's election has had a clear negative impact on business morale.
There's been a sudden drop in business confidence as a direct result of what happened in the election. Our members are feeling much less confident about the prospects for the UK economy, and they're concerned about the potential impact on their own businesses as well.
It may be that the business voice gets a wider audience in government, but with so much political uncertainty, even that prospect is not doing much to lift the gloom. Simon Jack, BBC News.
Well, now, the turmoil in the political world has also emboldened business leaders, many of whom had doubts about the hard Brexit that Mrs May seemed to want before the election. Now they see a window of opportunity to shift the Prime Minister's thinking on the single market, on the customs union and on the control of immigration. But it's unclear if she's for budging. Our business editor Siobhan Kennedy has this.
It was the details of the Conservative immigration policy that bothered Alex Shea. As the boss of this high-tech firm in West London, he shuddered at the idea of a hard Brexit, clamping down on his access to skilled workers from Europe and beyond. With politics now in flux, he's hoping to see a chink in the Tory armour.
Cutting our supply to talented people, a pool of 300 million potential candidates, feels like we're shooting ourselves in the foot. The only thing I can be sure about after the election is that there seems to be total chaos. There is no real indication of what's going to happen in the next few weeks, let alone months or years when it comes to Brexit. Making the wrong decision now could be fatal, and so undoubtedly there will be many businesses that take their time and wait to see what happens, and that could really hit job creation, it could hit tax take, it could hit a whole load of things just at the time when we really need some big wins as a country.
Migration is just one issue where businesses feel Theresa May has had tunnel vision and not listened to their views. But now, with her weakened, they see an opportunity to make their voice heard again and push for a softer Brexit, one that has business needs as a priority rather than an afterthought.
Those growing fears about the economy were echoed by a survey of 700 business leaders. Before the election, confidence about the economy was roughly split between optimists and pessimists. After the vote, though, optimism has slumped, while 57% now say they are pessimistic about Britain's economic fortunes. The markets tell it differently. They've held up since the election result, betting that Theresa May's weakened political status will force her into a soft Brexit, though her ministers today insisted that nothing had changed. But this man says things have very demonstrably changed.
If we look at the composition of this new cabinet and some of the remainers in that cabinet who are now presumably more supportive of a so-called softer or smoother Brexit, I just cannot see that the hard Brexit is what this nation needs or wants, or indeed, given the messaging from the electorate over the last 72 hours, that is indeed feasible for the sustainability of this government.
The problem for Theresa May is she has very few business friends to fall back on. One chief executive of a FTSE 100 firm in the city told me he tried very hard to engage with the Prime Minister, but that she was singularly focused on immigration despite the impact that might have on the economy. Another senior business figure told me that company bosses had their fingers hovering over the pause button when it comes to investment decisions and hiring, and that if things didn't change soon, many were ready to press it. A veiled threat, perhaps. They'll get the first sense if it's worked when Brexit negotiations begin next week.
Siobhan Kennedy.
I've been getting away with it all my